राधा Nice bhajan. Not a one we are used to hearing at Hare Krishna temple. But everyone seems to know the words. Okay. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Paschachadesatane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You young boys, if you get restless, you don't have to stay here. But if you're happy hearing about Lord Ramachandra and Lakshmana and Hanuman, great. But if you get restless, you know what to do, right? 23 skidoo. I'm saying this because I have experience. Young people can sit still for a little while and get a lancy. Okay. In anticipation of Ram Navami, which is coming up really soon, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. So, in anticipation of Lord Ramachandra's appearance, the topics for these home visits is in relation to Lord Ramachandra. And the Sunday feast class also, in relation to Lord Ramachandra, although it's a week early. In anticipation. So this evening's topic is the best of Lord Ram's servants, and depends on what school you're in. Even amongst the followers of Lord Chaitanya, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who are primarily Krishna Bhaktas, and as you all know, there are 9 processes of devotional service. There's 9 processes of devotional service and 9 categories of rasa. 9 and 9. So when it comes to dasya, all the other examples, perfect examples of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padar Sevanam, when it comes to dasyam, Hanuman. However, there are those that consider Lakshmana. So one of the classes we'll be discussing, focusing on Lakshmana. Just a little bit, here's Vedanta Deshika. Those of you that are a little familiar with Ramanujacharya, you know who's Vedanta Deshika, right? Yeah. Great authority. And in his book, Paduka Sahasram, he has a commentary that goes like this. He refers specifically to Ramanujacharya's definition of Vedartha Sangraha as he, it's a nice definition, or it is a Shesha who, by his or its very nature, exists to promote the glory of another, and the other is Sheshi. Pretty simple. Very straightforward. Just like Deha and Dehi. Deha is the body, and Dehi is the possessor or occupant of the body. Deha, Dehi, Shesha, Sheshi. Same Sanskrit grammar composition. So Sheshi is one who is the object of the Shesha. And their very nature is to promote the glory of. So Lakshmana is Shesha. There are other descriptions of how he is Shesha, but that's a very nice one. And there are different days of Brahma, called Kalpa Veda, different days of Brahma. So during one day of Brahma, this is described in Padma Purana, Lord Ramachandra is an incarnation of Narayana and his other three brothers, Shesha, Chakra, and Shankha. The symbols of Narayana in the hands of Narayana, at least three of them, Shesha, Chakra, and Shankha. Now, Shesha, in the case of Narayana, is not just an emblem or an ornament in the hands of Narayana, but the benediction-giving ones, the Shankha and the Chakra, the chopper, that's found in Padma Purana. However, in Vishnu Dharmottara, it indicates something different. That Ramchandra is Vasudeva, incarnation of. Those of you that are seated back there, if you have a handheld device, you can see all this live on your handheld device, but otherwise it's on the screen over here. You want to sit just here, that's fine too. Okay, as you wish. By the way, there's lots of room up front. How about this? Those of you that are sitting comfortably up, come forward and make room for the people that are behind. Because somehow, sometimes people come fashionably late, you know what I mean? Sometimes. If you so desire. Okay, so Vishnu Dharmottara. Ramachandra is Vasudeva, then Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Lakshman is Sankarshana, Bharata, Pradyumna, Shatrughna. So these four are the Chatur Vyuha, the four forms of the Lord that appear in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha realm. Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And in that Vaikuntha realm, there's the topmost of the planets of the Vaikuntha realm is Ayodhya Dham. Ayodhya Dham, this is from Sri Brahma Samhita, and Ayodhya Dham is at the topmost part of Vaikuntha, or Haridham. So, Ram is Hari, the personality of Godhead, Hari. But he is in the topmost position. Why topmost? Because he exhibits, along with Aishvarya, or opulence of Narayana, he exhibits sweetness, or madhurya, like a human, more human-like. Even in Vaikuntha, in Ayodhya Dham and Vaikuntha, and he appears in this realm, it's human-like, and thus very sweet, or madhurya, feature of Ramchandra's pastimes. Baladev Vijayabusan, one of our great commentators, he has made this statement, saying, Kalpa Beda Naiva Sambhavyam. In some days, Brahmachandra and his brothers appear as incarnations of these four, and in other days as the other four. And that's found in the commentary of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19. This is Canto 5. The latter parts of Canto 5 is the structure of the universe, material and the spiritual, beyond the material realm, in the spiritual realm. Very nice description, fifth canto, Vedic cosmology. And he, Lakshmana, is also identified as Adi Guru, just like Shesha wants to glorify Sheshi. That's their whole purpose, is obedient to and glorify the Supreme. So that's what Guru does. Guru, on behalf of the Supreme, reveals or discloses the Supreme. That's the Guru's function. But he's the Adi Guru. So one could say he is as dear to Ramachandra, the personality of God, as you can get, because he's in that Adi Guru function or capacity. And we'll hear more about him Tuesday, Krishna permitting. That's the plan. But of course, back to Hanuman, one can easily say the greatest devotee of Lord Ramachandra is Hanuman. Here's some of the glories. He introduced Ram to Sugriva. He flew to Lanka. He gave Ram's message to Sita. He warned Ravana, more than warned Ravana. Wholeheartedly accepted the defection of Vibhishana into Ram's camp. One evening we're going to speak about that. Vibhishana's surrender to Lord Ramachandra. It's a very special, very sweet topic. He brought medicinal herb that gave life back to Lakshmana. And he prevented Bharata from immolating himself. You know the immolation story, right? Anyone here? Young boys? Bharata? You know who's Bharata? No idea, right? When Ramachandra was banished to the forest for 14 years, you know about that, right? Somebody else was to become the king in his place. That was Bharata. Because Bharata was the son of Kaikeyi. Bharata was the son of Kaikeyi, and she wanted her son to become king. Remember now? Okay. So Bharata said, no way. He's the king. And Ram said, my father said, go to the forest for 14 years. And you become the king. That's what our father said. So become the king. And he said, no way. You're the king. It got settled. How to get settled? There's different descriptions, because there are different versions of Ramayana. But one is he brought with him Ramchandra's shoes, or padukas, wooden sandals. He had Ramchandra put his feet on the sandals, put the sandals on his head, walked all the way back to Ayodhya from Chitrakoot up on the hill, and placed the sandals on the throne. And the sandals ruled the kingdom for 14 years. Ramchandra, if he can't be here, his sandals, his feet, will worship his feet. And if he doesn't come back in 14 years, I'm going to enter into fire. That very night, the end of the 14th year, he came back. And Ramachandra, it's really sweet. Ramachandra was thinking, maybe in these 14 years, my dear brother Bharata has become attached. And that's just fine if he wants to be the king, no problem. But if I go, then he'll be embarrassed. So Hanuman, can you go? And he found Bharata crying and crying. Ram may not come back. Oh no. So then Hanuman brought the good news. Not only he's coming back, but he's just around the corner. He just wants to know, if you want to be the king, you can be the king, no problem. No, he should be the king. He's the king. And it was settled. So Hanuman, rescued Bharata's life because he was fully prepared to enter into fire. Those of you that have the back row seats, I'm inviting you personally. Personal invitation. And everybody here knows how to move forward. And they're moving forward. And those of you that are out in the balcony, you can come in and fill in the place where they moved in forward. Please come in. A little shuffling. Thank you very much. I spend a lot of time, all of the evenings, if you come late, come sit in front, because I spend lots of time preparing these presentations. You know the saying, the picture speaks 1,000 words? You've heard that one? No, you ever heard that one? A picture speaks 1,000 words. Yes. 1,000 words. Now, thank you. Some of you have seen an image that's like this. You know, Hanuman's ripping open his heart, and there's Sita and Ram in his heart. And there are many, many, many such paintings. So I was curious, where does that come from? Is it just like kid stories, or is it from one of the versions of Ramayana, or where's it from? And the answer is, it's from Kritivasi Ramayana. It's one of the many Ramayanas. And in that Kritivasi Ramayana, it tells the story of Ram's coronation. I mean, it has many, many other things, but part of it is the coronation. Big, big festival, big event. And after many gifts are given to Ram, it's common practice as a king or a cultured person then gives gifts to others. That's standard. Reciprocal, dadati prachaganati. You give a gift, you receive a gift. It's loving exchange. King becomes king, and the king gives gifts. So it was Sita's turn to give gifts. Now they had a way of communicating. They just, with their eyes, Ram would say, Sita would understand. Just glance, she would understand, it's your turn. He had a nice necklace, hara, and very valuable pearl, very valuable necklace. And she reached, Ram nodded, she understood, she's supposed to, so with her eyes, she was asking him, who should I give it to? He didn't say anything. It's Kritivasi. He just indicated, whoever is the most worthy person. There's a long description of how he communicated with his eyes. And then Sita began to contemplate, a long description of how Sita began to contemplate. Who is the one who risked his life to cross the sea to come find me? Who is the one who Ramchandra gave his personal ring to give to me so that I would know that he's representing Ram? Who is the one that warned Ravana? Who is the, and she began listing his glories. And she became very, very happy. And she placed the necklace on Hanuman's neck. And Hanuman looked at the necklace. And after examining the necklace, he started chewing the necklace. Very valuable pearls. And Lakshmana was laughing. You give the pearl necklace to a monkey, look what he's doing. So then he spoke to Hanuman. Hanuman, what are you doing? This is one of the most valuable items in the whole kingdom, and you're chewing it. And Hanuman said, I was told it was valuable, but it's not valuable. It doesn't have Ram's name on it. And everyone chuckled, and Lakshman said, but Hanuman, your body didn't have Ram's name on it. So Hanuman ripped his chest open. This is Kritivasi. It didn't show what you normally see. You'd see Ram in his heart. It showed his bones, and every bone, many, 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 many names. Ram, 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 Ram. Everyone was astonished. Not only his words and his heart, but bones completely dedicated to Ramachandra. Here's another one. This one I heard from Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. How many times have you been in India and you've seen a murti of Hanuman painted red like this? Many, many. Where does that one come from? I asked Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, he's a connoisseur. He said, one time, Hanuman asked, what's that red mark on Sita's forehead? And to keep it simple, they said, it's kumkum powder, she likes it. So he scurried away, got a whole pile of kumkum powder, placed it, plastered it all over his body. Because Sita likes it. Now there's another nice detail. This is from another one of the Ramayanas, the Adhyatma Ramayana. According to Adhyatma Ramayana, reference of this is made in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, that long before Ramachandra appeared as the son of Dasaratha, there was a deity, a Mula Sitaram deity, that was given to Ikshvaku. Now, who is Ikshvaku? Ikshvaku is the son of Vaivasvata Manu. Vaivasvata Manu is the son of Vivaswan, from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, right? So, Vivaswan and gave to his son Vaivasvata Manu the responsibility of overseeing the whole universe. So Vaivasvata Manu, established Ayodhya from the spiritual world, this replica in this material world. He built Ayodhya, the original, and sent his son to rule. In this way, the Sun dynasty, or Surya dynasty, was established, sent by Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. 14 Manus, Manu number 7, Manu number 8. So he came, and in that line, he was given, Ikshvaku was given this deity of Sitaram, not yet to appear. And time passed, and Ramchandra became the king. And there was a Brahmana in Ayodhya who, when he knew that Ramchandra was out of station for some days for practical matters, he would fast until Ramchandra came back. It happened a number of times. And this news came to Ramachandra, there's a Brahmana in your kingdom. He fasts when you leave. Ramchandra was very pleased with his austerity, and he decided, Ramachandra decided to give to the Brahmana this Mula Sitaram deity to personally worship, and told the Brahmana, when you worship this deity, you'll see me. No need to fast. Every day you worship your deity, you'll see me. No need to fast. So the Brahmana was very happy. When the Brahmana became very old, he gave the deity to Hanuman, because Hanuman, as we know, was instructed by Ramachandra to, you stay behind. I'm taking most of my associates, you stay behind and chant my glories till the end of this universe. That's a long time. So Hanuman obediently stayed behind, and he worshipped the deity, Sitaram, personally. After some time, the next Yuga came, and Hanuman gave the deity to Bhima, because they had the same father. Do they have the same father? Who is the father of Hanuman? Don't ask Mom. You. Vayu. And what? Same question, or same answer. Who was the father of Bhima? Vayu. Because each of the Pandavas had one of the demigods as their father. So they're brothers, same father, different mother, but same father. So Hanuman gave the deity to Bhima. But Bhima didn't live forever. So when Bhima was ready to go, to leave this world, he entrusted the deity to be worshipped by a very celebrated king in Orissa, Kshema Kanta. He was the last king of the Pandava dynasty. King in the Pandava dynasty, Bhima, he received the deity. And then over the generations, the Gajapati kings, they worshiped the deity. Same deity as from way, 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 way back. And then after some time, there was a priest, Narahari Tirtha. He was given the deity. He was worshiping the deity on behalf of the kings, and the kings liked him so much, they gave the deity to him. And before he left this world, he gave the deity to Madhvacharya, whose father is? They're brothers. So here's a photograph of the deity. Sita's pretty short compared to Ram, but that's the deity. Just 3 months before Madhvacharya disappeared, he received these deities from Narahari Tirtha. And he installed them in the Udupi temple, and today they're worshipped. Now, here's a detail. The detail is there was some, there's a conflict amongst the followers, subsequent followers of Madhvacharya. And so those subsequent followers of Madhvacharya, they weren't getting along with one group, and the other group was not getting along with the one group. And so they had their own deities. They had their own mutt. And on the Karnataka border, they established this deity of Ramachandra, kind of like competitor type of mood. And Udupi Krishna, here he is dressed on Ram Navami. Look at this. He's got a bow, he's got an arrow, he's got Hanuman in front of him, and there's Sita by his side, because there's normally, Udupi Krishna doesn't have Sita or doesn't have Lakshmi or Satyabhama, but in this case, Ram is not without Sita and not without Hanuman. It's a nice photograph. And also from Ananda Ramayana, there's a description of how Arjuna ended up getting Hanuman on his chariot flag. Arjuna as Kapi Dwaja, the monkey flag. And in that Ananda Ramayana, there's this nice description of how Krishna met Hanuman. You want to hear the story of how Krishna met Hanuman? It's a nice story. There's the flag. According to Madhvacharya, when Krishna was speaking to Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita, Madhvacharya is a little partial. Madhvacharya writes in his commentary on Mahabharata, actually Krishna was speaking to Hanuman on the flag. The real message of Bhagavad Gita was intended for him because they're close, they're brothers with the same father. So here's the story. Garuda, one time, this is a narration that's from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Brihat Bhagavatamrita, what's that? Some of you may not know what that is. It's a commentary. It's one of the 3 commentaries that Sanatana Goswami wrote on Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's very interesting. Here's how it begins. There's 2 parts, part 1, part 2, and each of the parts are that thick. And part 1 begins in this way. The 7-day narration of Maharaj Parikshit to Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit was complete. The snake bird hadn't come yet. This is Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And Shukadev Goswami got up and left. And so Uttara, the mother of Maharaj Parikshit, came and said, that was really fascinating, but I couldn't understand all of what he said. Could you explain? And he said, my dear mother, this is normally the time to ask such a question. But because you're my mother and it's such a nice question, I'll answer. So there's part 1 and there's part 2. It's a long answer. But that's, the question-answer format of Puranic descriptions. So it's Maharaj Parikshit explaining to his mother what he heard. And to explain to his mother what he heard, it begins with a scene where there are many sages engaging in austerities and taking their sacred bath and performing sacred rituals by the side of a sacred place. And as they're doing this, they're considering themselves to be greatly fortunate. And then they start pondering of all the fortunate people in the universe, who is the greatest recipient of the mercy of the Supreme Lord? It's a nice question. So they turned to Narada and asked Narada, could you research this and come back and let us know? Sure. So off Narada goes, and he visits this one, that one, the other one, the next one, the next one. And each one he visits is referred to by someone who said, they're the greatest recipient. And he sees how great they are, and he says, you're so great. And they go, no, no, no. This is my disqualification, their voice of humility. But if you want to know who is really qualified, go to so-and-so. And so he keeps going and going and going. And he ends up in Vrindavan. The residents of Vrindavan are the greatest recipients. But that's, the end of part 1. And then there's part 2. So in the course of part 1, Krishna is in Dwarka. And Krishna wanted to break the pride of Garuda by showing the very, 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 that's 3 varies, special devotion of Vaishnavas. So he called Garuda and said to Garuda, can you please bring Hanuman here from Kimpurusha Loka? Now, for those of you that are not familiar, 5th Canto Bhagavatam has a description of Vedic cosmology. And part of Vedic cosmology is Antardweep. It's the island where Mount Sumeru, big golden mountain that's big at the top and narrow at the bottom, an upside down cone. And then surrounding the Mount Sumeru, there's this island called Antar Dweepa. Dweepa means island and Antar means at the middle. And then there's different varshas. And we're in one of those varshas, but Hanuman's in another one of those varshas. Hanuman's varsha is Kimpurusha Varsha. This is Bharata Varsha. His is Kimpurusha Varsha. And there's 7 others, separated by mountain ranges. So that's the description of 5th canto. So Krishna, sent Garuda to invite Hanuman to come see him. So, obedient Garuda, king of the Yadus, is calling you. And Hanuman, he said to Hanuman, please go to him at once. But Hanuman is exclusively devoted to Ramachandra. This is the Shesha and Sheshi, right? Same principle. He's not Anantashesha, he's Hanuman. He's exclusively Shesha in another sense. He's exclusively devoted to Ramachandra. So he didn't agree to go. And Garuda is very devoted to Krishna. So he became angered. So he tried to force Hanuman to come with him. And Hanuman was not interested. He just flicked his tail and Garuda went flying through the air. And he came in for a landing near Dwarka. Garuda fell through the sky and landed in Dwarka, where Krishna, amused to see him, said, "Dear Garuda, go back to Hanuman and tell him that Sri Raghunath is calling him." See what happens. After dispatching Garuda again, Krishna turned himself into Lord Ramachandra and made Sri Balaram become Lakshmana. And when Satyabhama seemed unable to turn herself into Sita, laughing, he asked Rukmini to do so. She did so. She goddess of fortune, right? Goddess of fortune. So there they were, all three of them, waiting for Hanuman to come back to Dwarka. When Garuda met Hanuman and said, "Guess what? Raghunath wants to see you." Immediately, with ecstasy, he went running, leaping, bounding. When he took darshan of the disguised Krishna and Balaram and Rukmini, he offered prayers and devotion, very much satisfied with Hanuman. The Lord bestowed upon him whatever benediction he chose. So it's in relation to Lord Ramachandra. In Adi Varaha Purana, there's a similar description. Different, but similar. This is a description of Hanuman lifting Govardhan Hill. What? Well, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. But Adi Varaha Purana describes in this way. When building the bridge, monkeys and bears were sent in all directions to bring large rocks and stones, and Hanuman was asked to help. So he went to Uttaranchal, today's state of Uttarakhand. And while carrying Govardhan, or the hill, he heard a voice in the sky saying, "Sorry, no more rocks are required. The bridge has been built." Hanuman was disappointed. This was a very special stone. So he set Giriraj down where he stands today. But Giriraj became unhappy and said, "You have deprived me of the touch of Sri Ram's lotus feet. I will curse you." "Please forgive me," Hanuman replied. "In the next Dwarpa Yuga, your desire will be fulfilled. At that time, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, will stop the worship of Indra and worship you instead. Angered, Indra will try to destroy Vraja by unleashing his thunderbolt and by sending torrential rains. At that time, Krishna will hold you on his hand to protect Vraja. In this way, he will fulfill your desire." So Hanuman became very happy, started dancing, leaped in the air, and arrived at Sri Ramachandra's side. After Hanuman's narrating the whole incident to Sri Ramachandra, he replied, "The rocks that have been assembled to build the bridge have been delivered by the touch of my feet. I shall fulfill the desires of Govardhan by having him on my hand and touching him with my whole body. At the close of Dwarpa Yuga, I shall take birth in the dynasty of Yadus and make Govardhan famous as the best of the servants of Hari by herding the cows with my sakhas on his slopes and by enjoying my beloved gopis in his kunjas." A little bit of news. For maybe 35 plus years, I've been conducting retreats at our farm community in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania isn't around the corner from Texas, but people come from all over the country. It's a nice event. Gitanagari is a nice place, more than a nice place. Here's a little Prabhupada story. This is story night. Prabhupada's story was when Srila Prabhupada was in college, he was a follower of Gandhi. Yes? And as a follower of Gandhi, when Gandhi was shot and there was his funeral memorial service, Prabhupada was asked to be a speaker, one of the keynote speakers, because he was a prominent Gandhi follower. So Prabhupada wrote a paper on, it's like what you do in academia. You give a speech, but you have a paper that goes along with the speech, and it stays beyond your speech, the paper. So the paper said, and the speech said, the way to honor a great person, commonly you build a statue so pigeons can pass stool on the statue, or you name a street after them or name a building after them or something like that. But that's not the best way to honor a great person. A great person is best honored by establishing a community, a sangha of persons that live by the values of that great personality. And since Gandhi was a great follower of Bhagavad Gita, everybody knows, so there should be a place established called Gitanagari. Then he went on to describe what Gitanagari would be. And that was never found till much after Prabhupada's departure. There was a trunk that had manuscripts. One of the manuscripts was Light of the Bhagavad, which was never published during Prabhupada's life, but later was published by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And this Gitanagari prophecy was later found. But we didn't know it. Nobody knew it because they didn't even know that trunk was there, what was in the trunk. But when Prabhupada was in the final days of his life, as many of you may know, he was in Vrindavan. His health was down and down and down. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was encouraging Prabhupada in a number of ways. And one of those ways was, Prabhupada, you're a hero and you're Arjuna. You should be on the battlefield and giving Krishna bhakti to everybody. And Prabhupada said, yes, let's go. He didn't make it, but his plan was to do two things explicitly. It's in his biography, Lilamrita. Two things. One, to give his association to his devotees in the West. And the second was to visit Gitanagari. Because at that time, Gitanagari wasn't Gitanagari. It was called the New York Farm. It was called the New York Farm, this is history, because there was a point in time when Prabhupada was into promoting self-sufficiency. Urban, for preaching. Rural, demonstrates self-sufficiency. So he said, Prabhupada gave this edict, that temples that are strong and well-established, they should also have a rural project that establishes self-sufficiency, cow protection, and varnashram. And he was beating the drum and blowing the trumpet. And, it was, so some of us in New York, we had a GBC at that time. His name was Bali Mardan. And we out raised the funds and gave the funds to a devotee to buy a farm. It is called the New York Farm. It's what it was called. It was so far away, 4.5-hour drive to get milk from the cows. So it kind of became an orphan. But then Prabhupada had named it Gitanagari. So when he was planning to go to the New York Farm, it wasn't a New York Farm anymore, it was Gitanagari. So that's how its name changed. And in Gitanagari, one of the superlative attractions is Radha Damodar. Some of you know there was a strong emphasis that Prabhupada gave to book distribution. And one of his sannyasi disciples, Vishnujan Swami, he liked kirtan, and he liked Prabhupada, and he liked Radha Damodar. So the deity of Radha Damodar was on his bus. And when the bus program wound down, the deities went to Gitanagari. That's how the deity, they once were like all over the country. My first experience, I'm just doing stories. My first experience with Radha Damodar was in Harlem. You've heard of that place, right? Harlem. It's a dangerous place. It's the black neighborhood in 125th Street, and a busy street. And they brought the bus and took the deities out of the bus and had them on a palanquin, and they had kirtan in front of the deities, and people passing by like, what's that? And they had somebody guarding the deities just in case somebody wanted to do something wild. But they went all over the country. And now they're sitting on the altar in Gitanagari, radiating and blissfully engaging people in various ways. Just as as Lakshmana was the Adi Guru, similarly, you've seen this image. This is Ramchandra giving his ring to Hanuman to verify to Sita that Hanuman isn't just, a trick or a monkey or something. It's a Rakshasa trick. He's representing Ramachandra. And when he received that ring, he kept it safely. And when it came down to the final convincing Sita he used to be trusted, Hanuman showed Sita the ring. And she burst into tears because she knew that ring. You're the representative of Ramachandra. And that's what Guru function is, to represent the Supreme Lord. And she opened her heart and said everything that she said, because he had already said everything that he said, and she's now convinced. Hanuman is very, very dear to the personality of Godhead, clasping his lotus feet. However, before all of that happened, the quest to find Sita, you know the story. This is in preparation for Ram's appearance, so it's Ramayana Katha. There was a search for Sita. The Vanaras went in 4 directions. Hanuman went in the south direction because they had seen Sita travel in the southerly direction. But Hanuman had this curse. He was cursed by Brahmanas from his childhood. We'll hear more about this on Sunday, at the Sunday feast. But when he was a little boy, little Vanara, he saw a fruit in the sky, and he was hungry. So this son of Vayu, zoom, he went to get the fruit in the sky, but it wasn't the fruit in the sky, it was the sun. And Indra started getting nervous. Uh-oh. So he sent his thunderbolt weapon and hit him in the jaw, and he fell to the ground and came in for a crash landing on a mountaintop. Vayu became really angry. And so the wind stopped blowing, not only in this planet, but the whole universe. And everyone was getting suffocated. So they went to Lord Brahma and asked Brahma, how? So Brahma and all the demigods came, and when Vayu saw all of this, he withdrew that curse that he had made to stop the wind blowing. And so then they all gave, all the demigods, the devas, gave benediction, this benediction, that benediction. He became invincible. He's this little monkey. became invincible. So he started doing monkey business and interrupting the yajnas of the Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas were like, we can't transgress the demigods, but this is too much. So the Brahmanas made a curse. You're going to forget your powers until someone reminds you, and then you'll have your powers back. So that's what this slide is. Jambavan knew what happened. He reminded Hanuman of his powers, and as soon as he did, Hanuman's powers came back, his remembrance came back. He stood on this mountaintop, Mahendra Mountain, and got ready to make his giant leap. And so there's a whole kanda just describing his visit to Lanka to find Sita. Because Sampati, you all know. You know Sampati? Jatayu had a brother, Sampati. So Sampati had his wings scorched, so he couldn't fly, but he could see because he's a vulture. So he looked and he said, Sita's over there. But they wanted to verify and reassure Sita. So Hanuman, there he goes. Here's a little news flash. Some of you know this one already. There's been for several years, there's been tension between China and India, especially in those uninhabitable regions in the Himalayas and stuff. And they're fighting, and so tension. So no visas India to China, no visas China to India. The devotees in China used to be able to visit the Holy Dham, but they haven't been able to get visas. So because they haven't been able to get visas, we made a little plan. We're going to have a visit during their 7-day national holiday every year by solar calendar, October 1 through October 7. Nobody works. Workaholic Loka, they don't work for 7 days. We're going to have a party in Sri Lanka because people in China can travel to Sri Lanka without a visa. I mean, that may change too, but so we're having a visit, and guess what the topic's going to be? Sundarakanda. English, Chinese, English, Chinese, English, Chinese, in the places where the pastimes occur. They're going to be very happy. And then when that's over, we're going to have a little japa retreat, people that are going to come from all over the world, in India and especially. And then we're going to have part 2, Uttarakhand, right there in Sri Lanka. You're invited. And Hanuman, here's another nice picture. We're almost done. Along with Arishtasena, the chief person in Kimpurusha Varsha, Hanuman constantly hears Ram's glories with complete attention. So he's got some musical instruments too, and dancing and singing Ram's name. And here he is carrying Govardhan Hill. And here he is. This is Janava Dasi's, her illustration in Kirtan of Ram, 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 down to his bones and in his heart and in his life. Glorification, the best, back to the introduction, the best of Lord Ram's servants. Shri Ramachandra ki, Hanumanji ki, Gaur Premanandi. So let's see if there's some discussion. We snuck in a few Prabhupada stories along the way too. Just put your hand up if you want to say something. There's a portable microphone. Okay, here comes the microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So we say that in this Divya Yuga, it is special because Krishna is directly Krishna himself. So it's special. Otherwise, he comes in other yugas as from Narayana. So like that, is there difference when Ram comes from Vasudev, or when he's the difference of Shesha, Chakra, and Shankha?
Yeah. You're making a statement, you're asking a question.
Is there a difference?
Well, you said it right. And so there is a difference. The expansions of are not the original. They're non-different because they're expansions. They're non-different. At the same time, the expansions are not the original. They're the expansions. So there's a difference in non-difference. You know. Vachinta Veda Veda Tattva. So there's difference and non-difference simultaneously.
Lakshmana coming from Sankarshan is different from...
Different from what?
Like Bharata coming from Aniruddha, and Bharata coming from the...
Yeah, if you want the details, because you're asking some details, I'll speak the principle, and you want the details you'll find in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Sanatana Goswami, Madhya Lila, chapter 10 or something like that. So they're different expansions of the original, and the Chaturvyuha features are expansions of the expansions. It's specifically Krishna expands. Now, it's not like once upon a time there wasn't Balaram, and Krishna looked at his watch and said, "You know what? I'd like a brother." Whoop. It's not an event in time. It's an ontological, not a chronological expansion. But the origin expands as Balaram as the Chaturvyuha. And the first Chaturvyuha, the Sankarshan of the first Chaturvyuha expands as Narayana in Vaikuntha. But it's not like there wasn't a Narayana in Vaikuntha and he looked at his watch and said, "You know what? It'd be nice to have some Vaikuntha planets." Boop. It's not like chronological. So there's difference and there's the sameness. The expansion is like the original, but not the original. There is an original, which you stated at the very beginning. Is that clear? Okay. Microphone over here.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was wondering, in Govardhan, there's that picture of Hanuman.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And I was wondering, what is the purpose of those that worship Hanuman in Govardhan?
What's the purpose?
Of those the devotees that worship Hanuman in Govardhan, what is the...
They probably have different reasons or different bhavas or different explanations. You have to ask them. In many cases, they don't differentiate. In many cases. It's just, Hanuman, Govardhan, Giriraj, Haribol, Ganesh, you name it. They don't discriminate. And others have some more esoteric, specific idea, like this Ananda Ramayana idea. Hanuman brought Govardhan. So there are different purposes for different worshippers. They're just Ram Bhaktas and they're Hanuman Bhaktas, and Hanuman goes anywhere and everywhere, as far as they're concerned. Yes. Here comes the microphones because there's some people in the back and you have a soft voice.
So when we were inviting Hanuman to see Krishna, And so I think he sent Garuda to get Hanuman to Krishna. And then Krishna transformed himself to Ramachandra and Balaram to Lakshmana. And then
Rukmini.
Rukmini. Why can you describe Satyabhama and Rukmini and the difference between them? And why they
This
laughed?
is one of those esoteric questions. But Satyabhama, do you like Rupa Goswami? Me too. Satyabhama is Radharani in Dwarka. And Rukmini is the goddess of fortune in Dwarka. So Sita and Rukmini go together. But, you know, the whole Shamataka jewel story, Rupa Goswami has a different version than, you know, the straightforward version of the Shamataka jewel. But it's a long story. And Vidagdha Madhava tells the long story. But it's who's the babbling child? Okay. That's all it took. Just say that and he stopped. Almost. All of the picture that Rupa Goswami paints or portrays in his words is all the wives of Krishna were gopis in Vrindavan, and they became, Krishna promised, and they became his wives. And Chandravali and Radharani became two principal personalities. Right wing and left wing gopis. And Satyabhama is the left wing queen. She always talks back, like Krishna would Radha would speak contrary things, and Krishna would like. But you rather than, because it's a long, complicated narration, it's hard to follow. It's hard to describe it so that it's easy to follow, and it's hard to follow. But since you're asking, and it's an esoteric question, so I suggest you read Rupa Goswami's writings, or maybe a summary of his writings, Vidagdha Madhava. And it's very amazing. And it's not fiction. It's not Rupa Goswami's creative writing spree. It's his realization. Behind you. I see somebody behind you. We'll come around. No promise.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavata Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. One of the stories I hear
A
from
little further from your mouth because it sounds like muffled.
Hare Krishna.
I can hear.
One of the stories I hear from devotees of Hanuman, I'm not sure how authentic it is, but they say that Hanuman was instructed by Ramji to never leave Earth.
Yeah. Till the end of till the end of this universe.
Till the end of the
Not leave Earth, but don't follow him. He went to Kim Purusha Varsha, which isn't where the Earth is. It's another part of Antartweep.
Got it, Maharaj.
Does that address your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Oh,
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Krishna.
My question is that is only Bharat and Hanuman the servants of Sri Ram, or are there more?
Are there more? Oh, yeah. How many servants does Ramachandra have?
Yeah.
A lot.
Mm.
So the two names were Lakshmana and Hanuman as the best of Lord Ram's servants. But he has many servants. But of those many servants, who's the best? That was the topic. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So in India, we have a lot of standalone Hanuman temples without having
Yes.
deities of
Many,
Ram
many.
also. So even during childhood days, we circumambulate Hanuman during exams. But he is an ardent devotee of Lord Ram.
He's the
So-
Adi what?
He's a very ardent devotee of Lord Rama.
Great devotee, yes.
But means how will he satisfy our benediction, Maharaj? If will he give us Rama Bhakti or because we didn't go and worship Rama, but was just worshipped Hanuman. There are a lot of temples like that.
You want to know why people worship Hanuman without worshiping Ram? That's your question?
Yeah, like we have temples like that.
But, people, all kinds of people do all kinds of things. And, when some guys do this, then another group of guys do this, and they want to, then let's get on the bandwagon. So is there a scriptural basis? No. Is there a sentiment? Yes. That's why. They're like Hanuman. And Hanuman's, very merciful. And Hanuman's very devoted. They want to be devoted like Hanuman is devoted. And so they're devoted. They like the devotion that Hanuman has for Ram. It's nice. I mean, they, instead of directly going to Ram, they're going to Hanuman, the worshiper of the best of the devotee of. And that's Ram Bhakti. But it's Hanuman Bhakti.
Okay.
Guru. To develop attachment to the person who the Guru is delivering. Hanuman doesn't have anything else going on but Ram, Ram, Ram.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Yeah.
So it is said that, like I have studied somewhere on on one article that still Hanumanji is in Himalayas.
Hanuman is what?
Hanuman is reside in Himalayas, and he do his bhakti over there. So
Over where?
in Himalayas.
Himalayas.
Yeah.
Kim Purusha Varsha. Nice try.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if you follow what scripture says, that's where he is.
Yeah.
Kim Purusha Varsha. That's
Okay.
not the Himalayas.
Okay. Okay. And also, it is somewhere I read that it is Hanuman is Shiva,
Hanuman does.
Shiv Avatar, Lord Shiva,
Hanuman is Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva.
Very creative. I'm glad I don't have to hear stuff that you've had to hear.
Okay.
It's being innocent. Being innocent is different than being misinformed.
Mhm.
Better to be innocent.
Okay.
Or even better is to be properly informed. But once you've had some misinformation, what do you do with all that misinformation?
Mhm.
That's what your questions are. There's no basis of that.
Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
The 9th canto, chapter 10, tells all about Ramchandra's appearance and his devotees and so forth, and the Vanaras and the whole thing. And Ramayana gives the whole thing. There's nothing that Lord Shiva is Ram, Lord Shiva is Hanuman. And how Lord Shiva comes, that's very, very clear also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's our Supreme Court. So if there's some literature and some followers that say this is that or the other thing, you just smile and, give them one of these.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, we're going to end. thank you all very much for coming this evening, and maybe we'll see you some of the other evening. Big house with a lot of people. I'm sorry we don't have the screen so that you can see, but we'll figure something out. If this happens again, this is live streamed, right?
Yes.
So you can look live stream and see all the images while you're hearing the message. That's another option. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.